Welcome to Middle East Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Saudi-China collaboration raises concerns about access to AI chips. No matter who loses the war between Hamas and Israel, Iran wins. Pro-Hamas hackers send fake rocket alerts, knock websites offline. Saudi Arabia seeks closer ties with central banks of China, Hong Kong. What the papers say, October 10. Saudi-China collaboration raises concerns about access to AI chips. Financial Times. Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, KAUST, has launched an Arabic-focused large language model, called ACE-GPT, in collaboration with Chinese institutions. The move is part of Saudi Arabia's efforts to lead the regional development of AI technology, but concerns have been raised that the collaboration could jeopardize KAUST's access to US-made chips needed to power the technology. The US has expanded export license requirements for certain chips, preventing Chinese entities from accessing them, but has not blocked exports to the Middle East. No matter who loses the war between Hamas and Israel, Iran wins. ABC. The ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas is serving the interests of Iran, according to an opinion piece in the Washington Post. The author argues that Iran has long maintained support for anti-Israeli militant groups and operations and that it runs a sophisticated smuggling network to provide weapons and training to Palestinian fighters. While Iran cannot risk confronting Israel or the United States directly, it enables surges in Palestinian militant violence against Israel when frustrations boil over. The recent escalation in violence, with Hamas firing thousands of rockets into Israel and Israel responding with airstrikes, plays into Iran's regional battle for influence. The author suggests that there are three possible outcomes to the conflict, and all of them serve Iran's interests. Firstly, Israel's heavy-handed response could turn off Saudi Arabia and other Arab states to US-backed Israeli normalization efforts. Secondly, if Israel pushes further into Gaza, this could provoke another Palestinian uprising and lead to greater instability. Lastly, even if Israel achieves its objectives with minimal force, the underlying causes of the conflict and Iran's role in it remain unaddressed, meaning that further violence is likely in the future. Pro-Hamas hackers send fake rocket alerts, knock websites offline. Washington Post. A number of hacking attacks have been launched against Israeli targets in recent weeks, adding a cybersecurity dimension to the conflict between Israel and Palestine. One group, called Storm 1133, is said to have targeted Israeli energy, defense, and telecommunications companies. The group used fake LinkedIn profiles to send malware to employees working at those companies. Other groups have launched denial-of-service attacks against government and private websites, causing temporary damage but no lasting harm. The attacks have been attributed to hacktivist allies of Palestine, including Anonymous Sudan and AnonGhost. Saudi Arabia seeks closer ties with central banks of China, Hong Kong. South China Morning Post. Saudi Arabia's central bank is aiming to strengthen ties with the monetary authorities of mainland China and Hong Kong, as the kingdom shifts towards infrastructure development and attracting foreign capital. The Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, SAMA, is looking to establish bilateral dialogues and partnerships with the People's Bank of China and the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, as well as working together in international organizations and multilateral forums. The governor of SAMA, Ayman bin Mohammed al-Sayari, is also encouraging Chinese banks to expand in Saudi Arabia. What the papers say, October 10. The Independent. British newspapers are once again dedicating their front pages to the growing conflict in Israel and Gaza. The Daily Telegraph, The Times, The Daily Mirror, The Daily Mail, The Eye, The Guardian, and The Financial Times have all chosen to lead with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant's vow to besiege those within the Gaza blockade. The Times, Telegraph, Daily Mail, and I also feature the promise of Hamas rebels that one hostage will die for every strike on Gaza by Israel. The Daily Mirror highlights the human toll of war, while the Daily Express uses the headline bloodbath. The Metro focuses on those trapped in hell, the Sun warns that the bloodshed is here to stay, and the Independent highlights the 10 Britons either dead or considered missing in the conflict. The Daily Star is the only newspaper that has chosen a different front-page story, focusing on the perils of fine dining. White House considers adding Ukraine to Israel aid package. Washington Post. The White House is reportedly considering linking additional military aid to Israel with funding for Ukraine in an attempt to increase the chances of Congress approving aid to Kiev. The move is seen as a way to appeal to Republicans who are opposed to further aid for Ukraine but supportive of aid to Israel. Top Biden administration officials have informed leaders of the House and Senate, as well as members of key committees, that they will soon ask Congress to approve additional military aid to Israel in response to the recent attacks by Palestinian gunmen from Hamas. The request could come as early as next week. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas expected in Moscow, reports South China Morning Post. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is expected to visit Moscow soon, according to Palestine's ambassador to Russia, Abdul Hafiz Nofal. An official statement from the Kremlin is awaited regarding the visit. Russia has condemned the recent violence in Gaza and accused the U.S. of ignoring the need for an independent Palestinian state. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia has told Abbas that he is working to prevent a further escalation of conflict. Saudi Arabia has recently been rumored to be considering normalizing ties with Israel. However, analysts suggest that this is unlikely in the wake of the violence. House Republican calls on party to end civil war and elect a speaker. The Independent. House Republicans are being urged to end the civil war that has erupted in the party following the ousting of former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Congressman Mike McCall, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, called for the party to unify as there are hotspots all over the world, likely referring to the escalating violence in Israel and the West Bank. McCall warned that it is too dangerous a time to be playing games with national security and expressed concerns that Israel's response could escalate the violence in the region. Democrats urge Senate to rapidly confirm ambassador to Israel. The Independent. Democratic senators are urging the Senate to quickly confirm Jacob Lew, President Biden's nominee for U.S. ambassador to Israel, as the conflict between Israel and Gaza continues. The Senate is currently on a break until May 16. Lew, a former Treasury Secretary, was nominated in September. At least 900 people have been reported killed in Israel and 500 in Gaza. President Biden has announced that 11 American citizens were among those killed. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee is currently in a state of flux following the indictment of its chairman, Bob Menendez, on corruption charges. Most of the people are under the rubble. Rescuers rush to save survivors of Afghanistan earthquakes. ABC. Rescue workers in Afghanistan are continuing to search for survivors and bodies following a magnitude 6.3 earthquake that struck the country on October 30. The Taliban administration has said that at least 2,400 people were killed and many more injured in the quake and subsequent aftershocks. It is one of the deadliest earthquakes worldwide this year. Pakistan, Iran, and China have offered assistance, and a technical team from Iran has arrived in the area. The country has a history of strong earthquakes, but its healthcare system, which relies on foreign aid, has been crippled since the Taliban took over in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your trusted observer from the 6 Degrees world. Today, we have covered a range of news stories that highlight the complex dynamics of global politics and conflicts. Let's dive into a deeper analysis of these stories. First, we discuss the collaboration between Saudi Arabia and China in developing AI technology. While this partnership could bolster Saudi Arabia's regional AI development, concerns have been raised about access to US-made chips. This highlights the intricate balance of power and technology in the global arena. Next, we examine the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas and its implications for Iran. The author argues that Iran benefits from the violence, as it supports anti-Israeli militants and seeks to increase its regional influence. The conflict's potential outcomes all align with Iran's interests, further complicating the already tense situation. We also delved into the cybersecurity dimension of the Israel-Palestine conflict. Hacktivist groups, such as Storm 1133 and Anonymous Sudan, have launched attacks on Israeli targets, adding another layer of complexity to the conflict. This highlights the growing importance of cyber capabilities and the role they play in modern warfare. Shifting gears, we explored Saudi Arabia's efforts to strengthen ties with China and Hong Kong's central banks. As the kingdom focuses on infrastructure development and foreign capital, it seeks to establish partnerships and dialogues with major players in the global financial landscape. This reflects the changing dynamics of economic power in the world. Turning our attention to the British media, we observed the extensive coverage of the Israel-Gaza conflict. The front pages of major British newspapers are dominated by the human toll and the political ramifications of the violence. This reflects the global attention and concern surrounding the conflict. In the realm of international aid, we learned about the White House's consideration of linking military aid to Israel with funding for Ukraine. This strategic move aims to garner support for aid to Ukraine from Republicans who are more inclined to support Israel. It underscores the interconnectedness of global politics and the delicate balancing act of foreign aid. Moving on, we explored Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas' expected visit to Moscow. Russia has condemned the violence in Gaza and accused the US of ignoring the need for an independent Palestinian state. This highlights the shifting alliances and diplomatic maneuvers in the region. Within the US, we observed calls for unity among House Republicans amid the party's internal conflicts. Congressman Mike McCall stressed the importance of focusing on national security, particularly in light of the escalating violence in Israel. This demonstrates the impact of global events on domestic politics. Lastly, we discussed the urgent need for the Senate to confirm Jacob Lew as the U.S. ambassador to Israel. As the conflict continues, Democrats are pushing for swift confirmation to ensure effective diplomatic representation. This highlights the role of diplomacy in resolving conflicts and maintaining international relations. In conclusion, today's news stories reflect the intricate web of global politics, conflicts, and alliances. They remind us of the complex and interconnected nature of our world. I encourage each and every one of you to share your thoughts and engage in discussions. What are your ideas and perspectives on these issues? Let's dive into the conversation together. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.